Hey everybody, I've got another conspiracy theorist debunk video for you today, this time another flat earther. The video we'll be responding to is a debate between flat earther Austin Whitsitt and one of my favorite content creators, Professor Dave. I've always liked Dave because I see a lot of myself in him, as we are both interested in science, we both debunk bullshit, and we are both smug assholes about it. And I truly mean that with no ill intent. I admire that about him because as a smug asshole, I can appreciate when someone goes no nonsense at these ridiculous people that deny scientific principles that they simultaneously benefit from every day. Anyway, they decided to have a debate on the Quarterings platform of all people, which I found strange, being that I've never heard of Jeremy being interested in science denialism, given that he is a grifter that complains about geek media that he hasn't even consumed, but I digress. I would have assumed Dave wouldn't want to be associated with this guy, but here we are. I won't be responding to Jeremy in this video. Maybe I'll save debunking him for its own series, and the flying spaghetti monster knows there is a lot to debunk when it comes to this guy. Fortunately, he stayed out of the way in this debate, so kudos to him. As a final aside, I will not be responding to every claim made in this video. It's nearly 2 hours long, and they get sidetracked a lot, which is why I myself am hesitant to enter live debates these days. I will mainly be responding to Austin and addressing things that Dave may not have been able to get to or got sidetracked out of. Anyway, on with the debate.
Our position is that the Earth is a geocentric stationary plane. This feeble attempt to separate the conversations is disingenuous. If the Earth is stationary, it's in the center of the universe. None of the kinematics or dynamics, even of geocentrism, is exclusive to sphericity. That is just a get out of jail card because he will not be able to defend the claim that we're moving around the sun.
Right off the bat, you see that we are dealing with a lunatic. He believes the Earth is stationary, flat, and at the center of the universe. We know the Earth is not stationary. Flurfs have already debunked themselves on this point in a documentary called Behind the Curved, which was so aptly named. In that documentary, they sought out to prove the Earth wasn't moving by purchasing a $20,000 gyroscope, only to consistently find there was a 15 degree per hour drift.
Recently, we carried out an experiment to test the rotation to the Earth. If the Earth is spinning at one rotation every 24 hours, that means that every hour it has to turn 15 degrees. And if the gyroscope is mounted anywhere on Earth, it's going to drift. In today's 21st century navigation systems, they're using what's called a ring laser gyroscope. It is extremely precise. If we could simply get one of these ring laser gyroscopes, we would be able to prove once and for all that there is no rotation to the Earth. One of the people in the community actually purchased one for $20,000. But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15 degree per hour drift. Now, obviously, we were taken aback by that. Wow, that's kind of a problem, right?
Remember a couple videos ago how I explained the sun apparently moves 15 degrees per hour in the sky? Yep, that's the same principle. The Earth is rotating at that speed, 15 degrees every hour, and that gyroscope proved it.
Falsification is independent of replacement. And so what always happens is people don't defend the globe. They just want to ask millions of questions to the flat earthers. And somehow if a flat earther doesn't know the answer, then all of a sudden the globe model becomes true.
This is textbook projection. Flat earthers are the ones that seek to bury a debate opponent with questions and then declare victory if that person cannot answer a question they've raised. Remember, flat earthers have the burden of proof. They are asserting the planet is a different shape than every available form of measurement we have, so they need to answer questions. Austin is being disingenuous here. He knows that he cannot answer questions about his model and is seeking to immediately shift the burden of proof so that he doesn't have to answer reasonable questions about his position.
And then, of course, the burden of proof is the one making the positive claim. And then shifting the burden is making the other person prove why your claim isn't true.
Yes, you seem to somewhat understand the concept of the burden of proof, but you don't seem to realize you are the one subject to it. First of all, the burden of proof is not only for positive claims. It is for negative claims as well. Negative claims can be rewritten into positive claims. For example, the claim, no real images of the Earth exist is logically equivalent to this is a fake image of the Earth, in which case it now fits your narrow definition of the burden of proof and means you are now making a positive claim and must then defend that position. Logic is fun, isn't it? Further, science has already provided an insurmountable amount of evidence about the shape of the planet, from astronomy to geology to chemistry to aeronautics. Since you people are making a negative claim about all that evidence, it is logically reasonable to ask questions about your position.
Oftentimes we get what's called a straw man fallacy. People say that this is what flat Earth is, and they point and laugh, and no one that I know thinks that it's a flat disk in a solar system. That's ridiculous.
And now you have just committed a straw man fallacy yourself, Austin. The argument isn't, here's what the people Austin Whitsitt knows believe. It's, here's what's consistently presented to us when we ask flurfs for a model. Ironically, you're proving what we always say about you people. You all don't have a consistent model and therefore aren't a serious group of people. This proves how slimy you are. You just attempted to say that we can't ask you questions. Well, Austin, if you're not providing a model that fits observation, what are we supposed to do? We can't ask you what you think the shape of the Earth actually is, so what do you think your opponent is able to do here? Just accept what you say with no evidence or even a concept that can be scrutinized? How are you claiming a straw man argument if you present no argument?
Everyone was taught the Earth's a globe when they were young. That doesn't mean it's true.
I agree. Simply saying something doesn't mean it's true. The problem is, schools aren't just saying something. They provide evidence, or at the very least, compile evidence in textbooks and explain that evidence in a way that young people can hopefully understand. The thing about science is that it is self-correcting. If someone is presented with a scientific principle that they don't understand or disagree with, the beautiful thing about science is that it provides the necessary methods by which you can debunk that principle. This is known as falsification. What scientific illiterates like Austin thinks is that you are taught what to believe in science class. The reality is science courses teach you how to do the work yourself so that you come to your own conclusions. They quite literally award people for furthering our understanding of scientific principles.
Claim one is that the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3,959 miles. The second claim is that the Earth is spinning, tilted, wobbling, revolving around the sun, shooting through the galaxy, that's then shooting through space. That is a positive claim. And then the third one is that the Earth is in the vacuum of space. The heliocentric model has the burden of proof for these claims.
Here's the thing. Once something has been demonstrated to be true, we don't have to continuously prove that thing to the satisfaction of skeptics. They must do the work themselves, and science gives you all the tools you need to do that. For example, we've proven that the metal sodium and the gas chlorine make table salt. We don't need to continuously prove that claim, as it has been demonstrated countless times. You, as the skeptic, need to put in the work and affirm or debunk that principle. The same goes for the concepts you just described. The shape of the planet has been proven with imagery. We have a satellite in low Earth orbit called the International Space Station that is on a continuous live stream showing the planet that anyone can watch right here on YouTube. You can prove to yourself that the live stream is real by using the ISS Transit Finder, inputting your location, and then setting up a telescope to find the ISS in the sky. You then watch the live stream and see the ISS looking down at wherever you live, and boom, you've just proven to yourself what the Earth looks like from space. You won't do this, Austin, because you are not interested in the actual shape of the Earth, as you are a grifter seeking to financially benefit from gullible science deniers that consume your content.
And then one would say, wait, isn't saying the Earth is flat a positive claim? It is, of course. And so then we would have the burden of proof, and we have fulfilled that, right?
Wrong. You have not fulfilled that burden. Let's go back to the beginning here. Where is your model? Many of us have ridden planes, so we know more or less what continents look like from about 30 to 40,000 feet up. This means there is objectively land and objectively water. So the question I pose is a simple one. What is the shape of that land and water, and can you draw it on a piece of paper? Because if you can, congratulations, you have a model. And if you can't, unfortunately, you don't have a model. Having a model is extremely important for the claims that you are making because we have a model, one that fits all observations at the same time. The globe model accounts for the seasons, the day-night cycle, and for the reason people in the southern hemisphere experience the opposite season from those of us here in the northern hemisphere. For example, in the north, we are currently in summer, but people in Australia are currently in winter. As of the writing of this video where I am in Japan, it's 6 p.m. at night, but in my hometown of Los Angeles, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. The globe answers each one of these questions at the same time. Your model must do the same for it to even begin to be a competing concept. And I absolutely hate the nonsense that is currently on the screen. Do you not realize how slimy you are with this nonsense? You're denying the Earth is a sphere, but you're trying to get out of claiming the, amongst you people, widely accepted flat Earth model by saying you're not talking about the entire shape of the Earth, only its surface? What does that even mean? Wouldn't the entirety of the planet be covered by that surface, meaning eventually you'd have to claim that since the entirety of the surface is flat, then the shape of the planet is also flat? You're kicking the can down the road, hoping no one would notice. Further, I think we can all agree that we are extremely tiny compared to the planet. No matter if you believe the planet is a sphere or a flat disk, we all understand that we are small in comparison to it. The best analogy being that we are to the planet what microorganisms are to us. Well, these are Demodex mites living in the follicles of human hair. We all have these mites living on our bodies, and to them, human faces are flat. Do you see where I'm going with this, Austin?
We have actually verified the Earth is flat in many ways. Radio waves can be sent over 10,000 miles. Amateur records show that they're sent thousands of miles at all frequencies far beyond the geometric limitation of the globe.
What the hell does that even mean? You just said a thing completely out of context and with no literature or math to back up that claim. Why do radio waves prove your point? Do you think radio waves aren't subject to gravity? What do you think this means? This, audience members, is a textbook example of a Gish Gallop, rapid-fire claims so that no one can even understand them, let alone refute them. He does this with a bunch of images claiming we shouldn't be able to see these things, but we do, therefore flat Earth. Let's skip to something more interesting.
Here is a very important observation everyone ducks away from. If you look in the top left here, you see you can't see the mountains. These are called Canigou Mountains. You cannot see the mountains. So when people say, can you see, will you be able to see forever if the Earth was flat? That's a ridiculous straw man. Even within a globe paradigm, you'd have to admit you can't see forever because of something called attenuation. The light gets absorbed into the medium. We cannot see the mountains until the sun gets behind it due to the intensity of the light from the sun. You now get a silhouette, and we can see the Canigou Mountains. These should have been completely obstructed. You can buy a plane ticket right now for 2 specific days of the year, and you'll know that you'll see the mountains because of a silhouette based on where the sun sets. So I guess refraction is just colluding with the calendar and with the atmosphere to make the Earth look flat over and over. Of course, as a silhouette, refraction affects light, not the absence of light.
Flat earthers hate refraction. It's something that consistently gets in the way of their claims about why we see things we shouldn't see. Interestingly, throughout that entire diatribe, he never once questions why the sun in the lower image is distorted. As I explained in an earlier video in this series, you cannot see without light. Light is affected by the atmosphere and water vapor in that atmosphere, which can cause it to bend. This is called atmospheric refraction. The sun in that image is a perfect example of refraction, and he just skirts along as if it doesn't matter for the things he just claimed we aren't supposed to see. You see, refraction is the reason we can sometimes see things we aren't supposed to see due to the curvature of the Earth. Remember, you cannot see things without light, and since light is affected by the atmosphere, things over the horizon will also be subject to that principle. So if you see something you aren't supposed to be seeing due to the Earth's curvature, it's almost certainly atmospheric refraction.
And to address this misnomer that sunsets are impossible on a flat Earth and they just go behind the curve of the Earth, that is also not true. Here we see the sun disappearing above the horizon with a horizontal line blocking the bottom of it far above the horizon. This is proof that the sun can disappear up above the horizon due to atmospheric conditions.
Wait, so you just show an out-of-context video with real sunsets splashed across the screen and leave it at that? We're supposed to just accept that, Austin? No, we are not your sheep-like audience. We require an explanation and receipts for that video. Where is it from? Who filmed this and why? Can you show more examples of this from third-party sources as well as non-manipulated first-party footage? Can you explain what just happened in that footage? These are all important questions because you're using it as evidence for a claim.
So we'll just skip over here. So, and then he, of course, the globe claims that the horizon is a physical, tangible surface, and it is not. It's literally a horizon that is apparent. That's why it is where the sky appears to meet the ground.
Didn't you go on an entire tangent about strawman fallacies? Which scientists claim the horizon is a physical, tangible surface? I can't find any publication making that claim, and instead, what I see over and over are the words seem and apparent. You wouldn't happen to be lying, would you? I would love to hear where you got that claim from.
Of course, also on a globe, the horizon should drop down and away from you as you increase altitude. What we see in reality is it rises with us, which is a major problem.
This is another silly piece of misinformation from flirts that they like to peddle. They are either dishonest or completely unaware how small we are in comparison to the planet. In order to get any appreciable distance from the horizon, you'd have to be very far from the surface of the planet. Even in an airplane, you are still very close to the surface of the Earth, relatively speaking. But what I find interesting is, what does this say about the flat Earth exactly? How does this prove flat Earth? Earlier, you stated that seeing forever on a flat Earth is a ridiculous straw man, so explain why the horizon apparently rises with the altitude on a flat Earth. Seriously, what does this have to do with anything? You see, what he's doing is denying the spherical Earth without actually providing an analysis for the flat Earth. In saying this is what we'd expect on spherical Earth, but because we are seeing something we aren't supposed to be seeing, he's defaulting to flat Earth. The problem is, he has to explain why this is supposed to happen on a flat Earth. This is why he tried to plant that "don't ask me questions" shit at the beginning of this video, because he knows he cannot defend flat Earth and can only attack spherical Earth. This is what all conspiracy theorists do. Never provide answers for their preferred delusion, but always incessantly question reality.
Is, again, falsifications independent of replacement. The literal default position is that the Earth is a stationary plane.
That is not the default position. The default position on literally anything is neutrality. In other words, I don't know, therefore convince me. Science has provided evidence, basic experiments, and tangible practical applications. Flat earthers have given us exactly nothing. It is through the most extreme hubris that you believe your position to be the default. Based on what? Your limited perception and understanding of the things you see? Can you see ultraviolet radiation? Those mites that are in every hair follicle on your face? Of course not, but I can assure you they're there. Through the instruments created through scientific discovery, you can see those things that you normally cannot, and thus your limited perspective of things is not the truth, and you must devise a way of discovering that truth.
Well, Austin is denying this idea. He's insisting that the default position is the flat plane, empirically, observably, everything observable. Okay, so explain the observations from antiquity that I told you. How are you getting the sky to rotate in opposite directions depending on where you're standing? Let's start with there. How observable is that? How does that fit with your default?
This is what always happens. Instead of providing evidence that the surface is curving, you're saying, well, but if it's not, then how does this happen?
By this point, any neutral party should be alerted to the fact that Austin is being dishonest here. He has assumed his conclusion is the default position while refusing to answer simple questions from Dave. Dave asks him, why do stars rotate counterclockwise around a single point in the sky in one hemisphere and clockwise in the other hemisphere? This is a real observation that anyone with a passport can make. Stars apparently rotate counterclockwise around the North Star Polaris in the northern hemisphere. If the Earth were an unmoving object, which Austin claims is the default position, then he should be able to explain why stars are rotating in the sky and why they rotate in opposite directions depending on whether you're in Montana or in Sydney. The globe model states that because Sydney, Australia is in the southern hemisphere, the apparent rotation of the stars will be the opposite of Helena, Montana, because they are on the opposite sides of a ball. What's your explanation, Austin?
No curved surface. You said the default position, flat plane. I'm asking you on your flat plane, explain the observations of the celestial sphere. In the north, you get counterclockwise rotation. In the south, you get clockwise rotation. Explain that to me on your default flat plane. Explain it.
Yeah, so the counterclockwise and clockwise direction is super simple. It's based on looking different directions. Your better question is, why does it go around a singular point, is what you're trying to say.
If you are a flat earther and you follow this guy for information, this right here should let you know that you need to unfollow this guy and find a smarter conspiracy theorist to follow. He mumbles some ridiculous nonsense and immediately attempts to change the topic. It's amazing seeing this kind of shit in real time. He just demonstrated that he doesn't know what he's talking about and cannot engage outside of his canned talking points. This is exactly why he tried to prevent anyone from asking questions about his position. He cannot answer them. What does "they're looking at different directions" mean, Austin? Looking at different directions on what? You already said that flat earth model isn't what you believe in, so how are they looking at different directions on a model you don't even have? Do you see why we ask you for a model and why you're so reluctant to provide one?
If you put a
Yeah,
clock
literally.
on your ceiling, which way can you face to make the hands go counterclockwise? Tell me
Yeah,
which way you can face.
not analogous. The stars
No, it
drop
is though.
and
It is though, because the hands on a
stars.
clock,
You
go
don't get it.
clockwise, right?
You don't
The
get
hands
it.
on
The
a clock
stars
go clockwise.
drop due to perspective, so we're actually looking out towards them, not directly up.
Well,
Did you know
depends on
that?
your latitude, right? Depends on your latitude. If you're
So
at
do
the
you
equator,
agree?
if you're at the equator, they're going from horizon to horizon.
Wait, do you
You do
agree
look
that if
straight up.
I was looking out and something was spinning one way and then I looked at it from the other direction, it'd look like it was spinning the opposite
No,
way?
it
Yes or no?
wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Okay,
That's why I
so
said, you just said, if I put a clock on the ceiling, right? Which way, I'm asking you, which way you just said, if something is spinning one way and you look a different way, it'll spin another way. So I'm asking you, put a clock on the ceiling. Which way can you face that'll make the hands appear to go counterclockwise?
you
Which way?
obviously don't comprehend what I'm saying,
I think
Dave.
Nobody comprehends what you're saying, Austin, because you aren't saying a motherfucking thing. You just said you can look at a rotating object from a different angle to make it rotate in the opposite direction. That doesn't make any sense. There isn't an angle that you can look at a clock to make the hands go the opposite direction. You'd need a see-through clock and to look at it from behind to get that effect. Are you saying people in Australia are looking at the stars from behind, Austin?
Look at this. Hang on. Where's the camera? Which way is this turning? Which way is this going, buddy? Which way is this going?
I don't know. Which
do you
way
mean?
is it going?
Yeah, which way is it turning?
Who cares?
do you mean, who
What is
cares?
why
me-
are you obfuscating away
Is it
from
going
what I'm saying?
counterclockwise? No, I'm talking about exactly what I'm talking about. Is this going clockwise or counterclockwise? Come on, just give me the answer, buddy. You can see it.
To be
You can
fair,
see
the
it.
the webcam is mirrored, so it might be.
Oh, it
might
is?
be- I think so. So
No,
Well, I don't
I-
know, and I don't see what's
No,
the
I see
relevance.
it. I see it going counterclockwise. I see it going counterclockwise.
yeah, that's how I.
That's going
Let-
counterclockwise, right? Just say it, Austin. Just say it.
It looks like that, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we keep it turning.
Do you think I don't understand the concept?
No, I'm showing you, and I'm showing all the viewers. Look, which way is this going now?
We all get the concept.
Going clockwise. So if you're standing
Yeah.
up here and you look at the sky, you see it rotating counterclockwise. If you're down here, you see it rotating clockwise. So admit that this phenomenon makes perfect sense on a globe, and on a flat Earth it doesn't, which is why you're rambling about perspective and all these other things. to
No,
try to
there was no
obfuscate this
rambling.
very
You
simple thing.
incessantly interrupted me explaining it because you know you can't
No, because
actually
you're
allow me
trying
to
to
say.
change the subject.
What the hell do you mean, who cares? Dave is demonstrating how this phenomenon is possible on a globe. He's rotating it counterclockwise, which means on the other side, it is rotating clockwise. This perfectly accounts for why humans on that globe would see stars rotating one direction on one side of the planet and the opposite direction on the other side. You're getting cooked by a toy.
Austin hit 2 minutes to describe what he's talking, because I just want you guys to remember, like, the audience doesn't know what coffee cup, whatever it
Sure.
is, right?
Right,
So
'cause it
remember,
doesn't mean anything.
okay, but remember, you're talking to like normies.
Sure. Okay, so
that's what I'm asking. So Austin, you have 2 minutes. Describe.
Okay.
We talked about how the sunlight stuff goes on. So 2 minutes, and then Dave, you get 2 minutes.
Okay. So if you type in coffee cup caustic, which I will literally look, I'll share the screen. And Dave has been shown this in
Stay on
his
top.
debate.
Stay on point, though. Stay on point.
Oh, okay. I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Answer my
The-
question. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just Google coffee cup caustic. If I have a coffee cup, if I took the lid off of my coffee cup and then light was shining in from the window, what will happen because of the rim is the light will hit inside the coffee cup and wrap around the entire rim. I can take this little flat earth model right here and do it live. I'd have to cut all the lights off, and since the windows are open, I can't. So it's very simple to explain it. There you go. It wraps around. Now, if you apply this to a flat earth, you will be able to perfectly replicate the distribution of light that gives us day and night, depending on the proximity of the source of light. It's easily done. Everyone knows that, and you can look it up. If you're new to that, that's fine, but just look it up, right?
That all sounds great, Austin. Thanks for that. The only problem is you don't have a model. Again, you earlier stated that you do not subscribe to this flat earth model. Apparently you do, though, because in order for the coffee cup caustic to matter in this instance, the earth would have to be shaped like the lid of a coffee cup or a round, flat disc. Which you just said you don't believe. This is the problem with live debates. So much stuff gets said that it's difficult to keep track of everything someone says. So I don't blame Dave for missing this, but I've dealt with enough flirts to know that they do this all the time. They will have explanations for many different things, but the problem is their explanations will not all fit the same model at the same time. He's claiming right now that there is a clear dome over the Earth, but that dome would have to have finite dimensions. What is the shape of that dome, Austin? You're showing it's curved, which would imply it's a circle, right? Okay, then, that would only make sense if you're claiming the Earth looks like this. But earlier you said...
Oftentimes we get what's called a straw man fallacy. People say that this is what flat Earth is, and they point and laugh, and no one that I know thinks that it's a flat disk in a solar system. That's ridiculous.
So which is it? Tell us what the shape of the Earth actually is, Austin, because if there is a dome and the coffee cup caustic applies, then there is a definite shape. Draw it on a piece of paper. They're both flat, so it should be easy.
Okay, if you see here, this is a demonstration of the coffee cup caustic. Okay, that's what this is. So if you look, you put a dome over at the top of the flat Earth, you're going to take a light source. It's going to give you, you see the distribution of the equinoxes and the solstice right there below it. Now watch what the light does. Now look at it wrap all the way around the outside. Okay, this is called coffee cup caustic, meaning if there was a container on the Earth, it would literally have to do this. It would have to do this. And yes, all the mathematics has been shown, and I could pull that up if I need to.
This is called a supposition. You do not have evidence of a crystal dome over the Earth. Therefore, this so-called explanation is entirely contingent upon you providing evidence for a dome and that the sun is outside of that dome. Remember, Austin, you claim that a person making a positive claim needs to provide evidence of that claim. We don't have evidence of a dome, therefore we need to resort to the default position, right? Also, this does not match observation. On Earth, we can all see the sun in the sky. It is not always at the horizon level, like this terrible experiment shows it is. If you move that flashlight to the top of the dome, which is how most of us see 12 o'clock noon, the entirety of that model would be lit up. This model debunks itself. You are also showing us the flat Earth model you yourself said was ridiculous. Why are you showing us a model you don't even believe in? What was the point of this exercise?
It doesn't perfectly match. It's just a very hackneyed demonstration that kind of sort of makes a shape. They're not showing any kind of actual model that directly correlates with all the positions. So number one, it absolutely does not correlate with the times of day and night, doesn't do it. But second of all, it also creates gigantic problems because in order to get this, you're pretending that there's this dome, magical dome or whatever the hell you're talking about that's giving this effect, which number one isn't there. Right? You cannot demonstrate that this dome is there. But number two, it creates other problems because if you're saying that the sun is outside of this dome, then you don't get to have the sun inside the dome for the magical explanation for tides and all these other things that don't make sense on a flat Earth that you're pretending that the sun and the moon do, right?
I love what Dave said here, but I would have liked if he went a little deeper for those that are unfamiliar with FLIRF talking points. This goes back to what I said earlier, that they have multiple incongruous explanations that do not all fit at the same time. This coffee cup caustic idea is reliant upon the sun being outside of a dome, but many of their other explanations are reliant upon the sun and moon being inside the dome, including Austin's.
Yeah. Now, when Dave mentions this is another point of contention. I just, you guys are going at it, but I just want to keep everyone else in the loop. There is one of the points of contention is whether or not in the flat Earth model, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is whether or not the sun is inside or outside of this hypothetical dome. Because in one case, it's responsible for the tides and this, that, and the other. And then the other case, it's responsible. What is it? Tides and what did you?
Storms, everything.
Yeah.
Right? Coriolis.
So what is
storms rotate in opposite directions depending on the hemisphere? Everything.
Oh my gosh.
So, okay. All right. So, Austin, I'll give you, go ahead and respond to that.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't know what's above us because you can't freely just shoot stuff up as high as you want to. Okay. And GPS cuts off over a certain height. It's all militarized, but there could be layers to it. I don't know if you've ever thought of that, Dave, but there could just be layers. There could be multiple layers. And yeah, we know the sun affects things here. Tides don't work. You just gish gobs. Tides don't even work in your model. You can look up a paper by a Harvard paper, a century of tidal theory failures.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very simple. But this is what it is. If the whole debate is just, hey, let's just start spamming Austin with questions of how would this work on a flat Earth, that's not a debate.
Well then, what the hell is a debate? By my understanding, a debate is a clash of ideas and attacking those ideas to hopefully come to some sort of resolution, or at the very least, convince those that are on the fence. How is a debate even possible without questions? You have to understand your opponent's perspective in order to attack the argument. So if we don't understand what it is that you believe, why are you even here? You're trying to plant this idea that we can't even question what it is you believe, and that's because you cannot answer any questions. Your ideas cannot stand up to scrutiny, and you know this, and it's why you're pretending a debate isn't about taking one's positions to task. Listen to how you flail all over the place. Maybe there are layers to the dome, GPS cuts off at a certain height, it's all militarized. Like, do you even hear yourself? You just say things, and when we ask what the hell you're talking about, you cry about being bombarded with questions. Well, maybe don't talk then, because you should easily be able to explain these things you speak so confidently about.
One of these guys in the room is also propped up by all the algorithms.
All right,
Yeah,
all right.
I
That's
make
not
popular
debating.
content, man. I make popular content because
If
it's
anyone's
funny to
popular-
Wait,
watch.
you're
algorithm.
prioritized by the algorithm.
No, I'm the things that people like to watch are
No.
prioritized by the algorithm.
If I Google
Nobody
Wits It Gets
watches
It, you
guys
come
'cause
up.
So few people are stupid enough to fall for a flat Earth, so nobody watches you guys. I
But
make
Dave,
content
listen,
that's interesting.
if I YouTube Wits It Gets It geocentrism, a literal stream I did, you pop up. Can you
Okay.
explain to me why you're popping up when I search for me? Okay, let's not play games.
Let's try it.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
it's
right now.
YouTube admitted in Congress they deprioritize
Gets it.
flat Earth content because it's misinformation. So
Geocentrism.
what?
You just answered yourself, Austin. You get deprioritized because you spread misinformation. Maybe don't do that and you won't get deprioritized. And if you think that what you're doing is not spreading misinformation, then prove everything you say instead of whining that people are asking you too many questions. Perhaps if you were able to prove that there is a dome with many layers, then you get prioritized in the algorithm for spreading knowledge. Do the math, build a rocket, put a camera on it, shoot it into the dome, and prove it's there. It's truly that simple. Why won't you people ever do the actual work necessary to prove your hypothesis? Is it because you're scientific illiterates that can't do math? Because that's what I think.
This is just a picture to me. What does this show?
Okay, so this was the world record at the time. It's been beaten now for the longest line of sight photograph ever taken. This is a mountain called Pic Gaspard. Okay. And it was so now on a globe, if I look out, the Earth should be curving and blocking things in the distance, similar to how I can't look around a corner, right? Very like if I look, it's like looking at a hill. So if based on your height,
taken at 12,000 feet, though, right?
Correct, right. So what you do is you pull up Earth Curve Calculator, you put the observer height in,
Okay,
and then it'll tell you where the horizon will be, and it'll tell you how much of the target hidden height there is. So this is from the Earth Curve Calculator, official calculator. And if you look at it, the observer was 9,000 feet up. The target hidden height, meaning how much Earth curvature should be there, is 16,000 feet. And the top of the tallest part of the mountain is only 12,000 feet. That means the top of that mountain should be 4,000 feet below Earth curvature.
Yet another trick employed by the slimy flurf. First of all, he is aware that Dave is not going to do the calculations in a live debate and would thus have to have foreknowledge of this photograph in order to debunk what Austin is claiming here. For those that do not know, this image is from the French Alps. This location is famous as it offers one of the longest lines of sight in the world. However, this particular image is possible due to atmospheric refraction. Let me explain. The calculator Austin used here is correct. There should be a hidden height of about 16,500 feet, which means the peak of Pic Gaspard should be hidden. However, either Austin is lying or he's stupid, because that same calculator states clearly that this assumes light is traveling in straight lines. It's clearly not. As you can see, the image was with the sun near the horizon, which means the rays from the sun's light are traveling through the most amount of atmosphere. As I explained in an earlier video, the reason the sky is reddish-orange here is due to Rayleigh scattering, where the white light of the sun is being scattered by the atmosphere. This light is being bent due to the atmospheric conditions and allows us to see things that would otherwise be obscured by the horizon. Look at this demonstration of refraction. You can see light passing through this piece of glass at one angle, but coming out at another. The glass represents the water and other particulates in the air and how that medium bends light and makes it appear to come out from a different angle. You'll also notice that the light source is lower than where the light actually comes out from on the other side of the glass, showing how light can appear higher than it actually is. This is how refraction can allow us to see something that would otherwise be hidden behind the horizon. Hell, on the site that houses these images, the photographer states clearly that refraction was the reason they were able to get these images in the first place. So you need to use a curvature calculator that accounts for refraction. And when you do that, you'll see refraction will bring an object that was otherwise hidden into view.
Two things. One, I cannot verify any of those numbers. Those could absolutely be fabricated by you. And number two, we're not doing any of the math. So those are two things that are not being verified. So instead, let's talk about something purely conceptual and intuitive. Why can we see farther with elevation?
You're on the screen. Be careful.
What happened?
I know.
Awesome. Okay. I was just saying,
This guy's just denying basic
as somebody,
math.
I put my own
Basic
home
math.
address on when I didn't realize it. So I was just telling
Yeah, I get you. Good luck.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let me finish the thing I was saying.
Go ahead. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
So we can't verify any of these numbers. So instead, let's just talk about something very simple and intuitive. If we are looking at something at the horizon, if we go up in elevation, we can see farther. That is not intuitive on a flat Earth because that actually increases the distance to the horizon, right? If you're going up, now there's an additional distance, right? If you get a hypotenuse, that's always going to be longer than the leg there. So why can we see further with higher elevation? That doesn't make any sense.
So Austin was being extremely annoying in this particular clip by not listening to anything Dave was saying and by doing the calculations on the simplified calculator to, I guess, prove his point. As I said, he's ignoring the bit at the top where it states the calculator he is using assumes light travels in straight lines and doesn't account for refraction. But Dave also says what I did. He can't verify those numbers in real time, and Austin knows this, so he attempts to use this as a dunk. This is why the live debate format is inherently flawed, because when you come with ready-made talking points, you can trick an audience into believing you are right about something because your opponent cannot refute that claim in the moment. This is why it's better to work with concepts that are intuitive in live debates, and it's exactly why Austin does not want to answer questions. It deviates from his script, and people that don't know what they're talking about hate having to go off script.
Okay. Yeah, it's an intellectually honest question, and it's actually disingenuous to avoid addressing the evidence just with the cop out that I can't verify the numbers right now.
It's actually really not, because when you have an entire model that is all interconnected and all observable phenomena are explained by that model, one singular datum, like one photo, is not going to be powerful enough to undermine an entire model.
Perfectly explained. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a cherry pick. And as I just debunked that cherry pick, it's a bad one. Austin's entire argument here hinges on a simplified calculator that doesn't take refraction into account.
If the numbers were true and if the math wasn't fudged, then I would say, okay, there's probably some kind of atmospheric effect or some kind of thing that I am not aware of that is making us see a little bit further. Maybe it's something that particular day. There's a particular humidity, or it's clearly over water that's going to increase the atmospheric refractive effects. None of these observations are ever done over land. I think that's why. Same with the skyline of Chicago. They're always done over water for you guys. So there's something clearly, just one singular explanation that is missing. And that's why one datum is not going to undermine an entire model that explains every single thing about the world that we live in, from everything we see in the night sky to geological phenomena to just absolutely everything in our world, right?
So hand wave dismissal, red herring fallacies, appeal to possibilities. That's your rebuttal.
Dave completely nails him on this topic, and he begins to list off logical fallacies. Admitting that you don't know the full parameters of a topic is not a logical fallacy. It's being intellectually honest. Dave seems to understand the purpose of a debate, and that is to make concepts being discussed easy for those listening to digest. Throwing numbers on the screen does nothing for anyone, as most people don't know what they mean nor how you derive any conclusions from them. This is why it's best to stick to things that are easily demonstrated, like light bending in a prism. I mean, I can easily tell people how we know the sun is 93 million miles away and show the trigonometry on screen that proves it, but most people don't understand trigonometry nor why we use it for astronomical objects.
Do you know that fallacies are important, Dave?
Now, I know that you guys name random fallacies to pretend that you've won something when you didn't. That's
you literally appealed to possibilities. You said there's probably something that could possibly be happening.
But Austin, you committed the fallacy of incomplete information, also known as cherry picking. By using a simplified calculator that does not take into account atmospheric conditions And by ignoring the warning at the top of that calculator telling you that it assumes light is traveling in straight lines, you cherry-picked your information. So either you're not smart enough to know this, or you're being dishonest. Call it.
So the truth is that all observations have shown that the Earth is stationary. We have the cosmic microwave background, which showed anisotropic inhomogeneous distribution of energy, which is the exact opposite of the heliocentric prediction, and intersected on the Earth. The 23.4 degree axis was on a non-local observation. Dude, define word salad.
A string of empty, incoherent, unintelligible, or nonsensical words or comments. By definition, everything you just said is esoteric and unintelligible. Most people watching this debate, especially your Flurf followers, will not understand what the hell you just said. And Flurf grifters like yourself know this, so you string together these words to make it seem like you know what you're talking about. I can absolutely assure you that zero scientists are using the cosmic background radiation to disprove the shape of the Earth, so why the hell are you doing so? You specifically told us earlier that the planet being in a solar system is ridiculous, so why are you now invoking astronomy to debunk astronomy? That makes no sense coming from a science denier. Either the science works or it doesn't. Stop cherry picking.
You're just using words. You're trying to pretend that cosmology proves the Earth is flat. Then all cosmologists would be flat earthers. Do you have any idea how insane you sound? No, it's not.
But that's exactly what you just did, Austin. Did you not say that cosmic background radiation is opposite to what the heliocentric model predicts?
We have the cosmic microwave background, which showed anisotropic inhomogeneous distribution of energy, which is the exact opposite of the heliocentric prediction.
That's using astronomy to debunk astronomy. What you just did is the equivalent of saying addition disproves multiplication.
Can I, if you'll allow me, I'm getting called a coward for not bringing up the edge. But one thing that is what I found fascinating today was the idea of the ice wall or Antarctica. There's a lot of craziness around that, because what I thought, just being unbiased, trying to be unbiased, but I guess being honest, that is very hard for me to believe. Because people can literally go to Antarctica. People go there all the time. So what is the flat Earth position about the rim? Basically, that's what people in chat are asking that.
First of all, to address the first part, I'm cool with asking questions. That's the natural response because flat Earth is so out of left field for most people.
Yeah.
But that's more of like a normal conversation thing, not a like he's supposed to be debating me thing. But it's all good. Okay. I'm pretty chill.
I mean, I can let you guys just go at it too if that's what you want.
No, it's cool. I want to answer your question. Okay. This is the typically held position. You cannot freely and privately explore past the 60th south latitude, okay, which is a ring around the outside. So to independently and freely identify and verify what all is out there is not possible.
This is a lie. I want to bring us back to the photo of the French Alps Austin used as evidence of a flat Earth. He specifically mentioned that photo was a world record, which means he accepts Guinness's methodology. Well, in 2018, Guinness authenticated a 72-day circumnavigation of Antarctica completely south of the 60th parallel. Now what? Is Guinness lying about Captain Coper sailing around Antarctica south of the 60th parallel? Or is this canned talking point a bunch of bullshit that you sell to your gullible audience? Now, fast forwarding a bit, the conversation becomes centered around Antarctica and that there is someone who is funding trips to Antarctica to prove to Flurfs that there is 24 hours of sunlight and 24 hours of darkness. Let's take a listen.
Observe the 24-hour sun.
He's like some eccentric billionaire guy, right?
I don't really know anything about him, and I don't know how much money he has. I don't think he's a billionaire. I think he has enough money to pay for a couple people to go.
Because I will go. I'll do the South Pole tour.
I wouldn't. I have things to do, but I would love for some flat earthers to go and see the 24-hour sun. And most flat earthers are already making excuses. Weiss is saying he doesn't want to go because he's evil, Satan or something. I don't know what he's talking
Austin
about.
Said he would go.
Okay. That's great.
And Dave's position was that he doesn't respect people that are dishonest and hide behind anonymity and stuff like that. So whatever, I said I would go because, dude, I'm not scared of anything. You know I'm a flat earther?
Did he contact you?
Yeah. He sent like a mass email. And when I saw it, I responded. I said, dude, look, I'll go. It has to be transparent and honest. People have stolen money. They claim on their videos they're going to fly us. And then we contact them. They're like, I'm not going to actually fly you. That's just for my YouTube video. But he still has a GoFundMe up to make flat earthers look bad. So I said, if it's honest, I'll go. I'm not scared of the truth, dude. I'm a flat earther because you can go see mountains from hundreds of miles away consistently. It doesn't add up. The math doesn't add up.
The math literally adds up. Like literally as in literally, not literally as in figuratively.
what will it take? Like if you go down there and you see 24-hour sunlight, you'll come back and say, all right, cool. I'm cool. It's global. I'm a global guy now. What would it take if you went to the South Pole for you to change your mind?
If I saw a 24-hour sun that does a 360 around me, like the Go predicts, I would readily admit like that does.
What's a 360 around me look like?
Like the sun should just do a full circle around you and never set, just like it does in the north in the midnight sun. It should do the same thing in the south.
What does it look like in Alaska when it's light for 24 hours there? It
literally does. If you're far enough north, you can just see the sun do a full circle around you, which is what the flat Earth predicts as well. What's up,
Dave? Do you have any issue with that? I don't know. I've never been there.
No, great. I can't wait. I really hope they go, and then when they come back, that's the end of flat Earth, because that will be it. And
well, let me finish what I was saying.
Okay.
Yes, it would match the globe. I would step back and be like, whoa, I don't expect it to. So I would admit, yeah, that's weird. That matches the globe. That's not expected on the flat Earth from my understanding, blah, blah, blah. I'd openly admit it.
Isn't that what you just did to me about the photograph? Or I was thinking of another explanation?
What? No. I didn't even say that yet, but maybe. But
it is the exact thing he tried to criticize Dave for. Remember, he said that because Dave admits that he doesn't have all the variables and thus couldn't comment on why we could see the peak of a mountain, he was committing the appeal to possibility fallacy. This guy is straight up hypocritical, and you kind of have to be a flat earther.
Okay, well, let me ask this. So, I feel like Austin's been on a bit of the hot seat. So let me pose a question to Dave. I've heard the terminology around flat Earth several times in your videos about grifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the grift? Like, what is the grift in saying that there's a flat Earth? Can you kind of describe that? Because I don't see a lot of these flat Earth guys being like, give me money.
And I find it very interesting that Jeremy Hambley of the Quartering takes an interest in someone being called a grifter, being that Jeremy himself is a grifter. It's always a fucking Jeremy, isn't it? Anyway, I'll leave Jeremy alone for now.
So what is it?
It's just a little cult, and there's super chats, and they do the conferences and all these things. That's all it is.
So there's
it's not like a huge grift. It's not like Scientology or something, but
okay, we all agree Scientology is a huge grift, right?
I hope we all agree that.
Yeah, dude, flat Earth doesn't make you money, bro. I get demonetized all the time. I'm deprioritized. I had to lose a 6-figure job offer because I had flat Earth videos online. Okay, if you were gonna grift, why would you pick the thing that doesn't make money?
Now, Austin. Why are you lying? You have a Patreon with over 179 members, and the lowest amount per month is $5. At minimum, you make just under $1,000 a month on Patreon alone. But you also have a PayPal and an Odyssey account where people can donate, in addition to your YouTube channel where you have healthy viewership relative to your subscriber count. The whole woe is me, they're demonetizing the truth is an extremely popular tactic by grifters to galvanize their audience into donating money on their platforms, in addition to collecting the YouTube revenue. There is absolutely money in grifting flat Earth. Please stop. You're talking to YouTubers that know how this shit actually works.
Okay, yeah. So like I explained earlier, when we looked at the cosmic microwave background, it actually showed that there was, he called this word salad, anisotropic.
Wait, what is it? I just want to, we're not all, so what did you say? The what microwave?
It's called the cosmic microwave background, CMB, which is just you send something up high in the air and you read the electromagnetic radiation. There's the visible spectrum of light, then there's the non-visible spectrum. It's pulling in all the data from the light that you can't see with your eyes.
If you've ever researched flat Earth, you know this image, right? Dave's seen this.
Probably,
image.
yeah. Most people certainly
do with flat Earth. I mean, this is cosmology.
No, hold on. But hold on, Dave. Okay. Hold on. Just let him. Yeah. Just let him.
It's about is the Earth moving or not? So in the current model that the Earth is flying around the sun, the universe, whatever, all the energy should be evenly distributed. That's called homogeneous, and it should be isotropic, meaning it has no preferred direction. Okay, but what they saw was that it was inhomogeneous and anisotropic, and actually the part that had a preferred direction intersected on the Earth. And they ended up calling it the axis of evil. And then what they saw was that this anisotropic inhomogeneous distribution of energy was actually on a 23.4 degree tilt, which was supposedly the Earth's tilt, but it was observed way beyond our quote unquote galaxy, which means it could not have been the Earth tilted.
This is what a master manipulator looks like. In order to sell a lie, people like this use nuggets of truth to sell whatever fiction they're trying to sell. There are anomalies in the CMB, this is true. It is called the axis of evil, this is also true. But the conclusions this person is deriving from this information is entirely made up. Unlike Dave, I actually have the time and ability to look up what this man is talking about. The axis of evil is so named simply because it presents an unexplained issue in current models for cosmology. This person likes the evil-sounding name because it's something he can sell to his audience about the ambiguous they these conspiracy theorists always refer to. They are lying to you and they want to control your mind. Of course, axis of evil sounds ominous and scary, so when you look this up, it appears as if Austin is telling you the truth. All it is a currently unexplained anomaly that may only be an anomaly due to the systematic errors in the collection of data. That's all. Here's the wiki page on it, and I'll let you look for where it says literally anything about flat Earth or geocentrism and why that would be applicable to this conversation. Didn't find anything, did you?
How does this, one thing I'm a layman, so I feel like I'm speaking for just regular people who are watching. What about this should Dave talk about when it comes to the sphere heads? You know, so when you talk about the microwave, whatever, how does this relate to flat Earth is what my question is.
This is just about if the Earth is geocentric or not. If the universe is geocentric.
Okay,
so
that's a different conversation then, right? Because
it's not though.
The planet
it's not
could be yes, it is, because the planet could be a sphere but still be geocentric.
It
right?
could be, yes, that's right.
Okay, so it is different.
The point is that the mainstream model we were all inundated with was that the Earth is a spinning globe. So the alternative is that the Earth is a stationary plane. And what always happens is the people that believe in the spinning globe, they want to avoid the burden of proof for both of those things, curvature and motion. And if they think they can say what's an eclipse, then somehow they don't have to explain all the evidence that shows the Earth's not a spinning globe.
Imagine getting cooked this hard by the quartering of all people. Notice what Austin does here. Jeremy tells him that geocentrism has nothing to do with whether or not the Earth is flat, as the sun and moon could revolve about the Earth whether it was spherical or not. This cooks the whole conversation about the CMB, and Austin pretends that it doesn't and changes the topic again. As we just showed on the screen, the axis of evil literally says nothing about the rotation or the shape of the planet, and yet you think Dave still needs to address this? What? And where is all this evidence that shows the Earth is not a spinning globe? Because the axis of evil is not it, that peak in the French Alps is not it, and these logical fallacies you keep bringing up aren't it either. You came prepared with slides, so where's the slide showing cosmologists claiming the cosmic microwave background debunks the rotation and shape of the Earth? Where is this evidence you keep claiming to have?
This is what Austin relies on. This is why he's so incapable of doing.
But what does it supposedly prove? I'm sorry. So what does...
That the Earth's in the center of the universe.
Got it. Okay. Dave, respond.
Okay. So no, it absolutely doesn't. Otherwise, cosmologists would all agree that Earth was at the center of the universe. Right? This is all freely available information that you're finding on Wikipedia. If this demonstrated what you're saying it does, that would be the consensus among people who study this for a living. It is not, and that doesn't do what you're saying. You're just saying it does. This is what you do, right? You need to talk about esoteric aspects of modern physics because your viewers don't understand what you're talking about, and they just believe you, instead of talking about very simple things, like which I want to keep bringing you back to. Why is it that people looking in different directions can all see the Southern Cross at the same time? Very simple, intuitive things. These are what we should be discussing.
Sure. Okay. So hand wave dismissal, appeal to consensus, and appeal to authority.
This fucking guy. How is that not a reasonable ask to stick to things that people listening to can understand? Again, the reason you do this is because you cannot talk about things outside of your canned talking points. Without your script, you cannot talk about this subject. That much is completely obvious. Imagine invoking the appeal to consensus fallacy in a debate about science, the literal highest form of consensus there is, and the one form of consensus that is exempt from that logical fallacy. Argumentum ad populum only applies when you're talking about popular consensus, not consensus derived from scholarship, numbnuts. What you just did is commit the argument from fallacy. You probably didn't even know that was a thing. And they go on a ridiculous tirade about another debate Dave had with another flurf, and I don't have the brain cells for that, so let's skip forward to something actually interesting.
Well, look, this is what I want to point out. Dave said that this guy was in his balloon and it maintained the momentum due to the conservation of momentum with the spin of the Earth. So when he fell out, he maintained that momentum.
Yeah.
Felix Baumgartner landed like dozens of miles in the opposite direction.
Well, he accelerated though. When you watch this, he did not maintain his position, right?
Yeah, but if you're spinning underneath him, why would he fall in the opposite direction?
The opposite direction. What's going on while he's falling? Is there no interaction with the atmosphere? Is there absolutely no change in what's going on?
Well, there's not much atmos up that high. You could say once he got down, he started drifting, if that's what you want to claim. I mean, I actually looked at the weather data. It seemed like there wasn't much wind. I'm pointing out that your claim that he was just following the Earth is patently false. He fell like 40 miles in the wrong direction.
Okay, well,
Austin, my friend, you don't know what you're talking about. So Austin is doing the thing that some flurfs do where they suggest that objects in the air, in this case a human, but I've seen it about helicopters, are no longer attached to the Earth, and that if the Earth were spinning, the Earth should spin underneath them. This is hilariously uninformed. The atmosphere of the Earth is attached to the Earth through gravity and is also spinning with the Earth. Felix, the jumper, also retains the momentum of Earth imparted upon him when he flew into the sky. So Felix is still rotating with the Earth no matter what. The second issue with Austin's claim here is that he doesn't seem to think the atmosphere has an effect on someone traveling through it, and I'm just flabbergasted at how flurfs understand the world they live in. The way these people talk, it's like they've never flown in an airplane. In a plane, you experience turbulence, even in cloud-free, stormless skies. That is because air is always moving, period. He just said he checked the weather for that day, as if that matters at all. I mean, sure, if there was a hurricane or some shit, it would be significantly worse, but seemingly clear skies also experience dynamic turbulence. So a guy falling at terminal velocity would not only interact with the atmosphere in that manner, but he'd also be subject to the turbulent air that no one can see or predict. There's a reason the seatbelt sign will come on in a plane after you hit turbulence.
But I think much more importantly,
what
you absolutely can't explain is why that guy fell down.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
the gravity conversation.
Gravity. Let's do electric gravity.
Yeah,
Let's talk about it.
This is one of my favorite arguments from flat earthers, and is literally why I decided to spend some of my vacation making this video. Flat earthers, if you didn't know, do not believe in gravity. I repeat, flurfs do not believe in gravity. If the idea that the Earth is flat wasn't stupid enough, these people had to take it up a notch and denied the reason things fall down.
Because he has weights when he's more dense than the air and he went down.
What is weight?
It is mass times gravity. Mass is volume times density times downward acceleration. Gravity is little g, which is just downward acceleration, 9.8 meters per second squared, which you falsely claim that we can't derive, but you can do that with a kinematic equation, strictly a kinematic equation.
Get me 9.81 meters per second squared without using the mass of the Earth.
Literally, you can do it with a kinematic equation. It's also been done with the
see it. Where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but very, very simply, you cannot explain why things fall down. You just can't do it.
I can.
No,
yeah.
you can't.
Everything. It's more dense than the air, and so the question would be, why is there up and
why does it go down?
This will never not be hilarious to me. Austin states that things fall down because of density. Usually flurfs invoke density and buoyancy, but this one decided to settle on density. The problem, of course, is that density says absolutely nothing about why things fall down. Density is the measure of mass per unit of volume. For example, helium is less dense than iron, which itself is less dense than a diamond. But again, this says nothing about why things fall down. Their argument is that humans are more dense than air, so humans won't float on air and will sink. The problem is, well, why do you sink? If you suspend a ball in the air and then release it, why does that ball always fall down? It is more dense than the air above it, so why doesn't it fall up or sideways? Do you see how density doesn't even begin to address the question of why do things fall down?
The air above it is less dense, should fall up.
Why is it? What?
Do you see what happens when there is no script for him to follow? He gave his canned answer, but when presented with a relevant question, it absolutely stuns him, and he has to hurry past it and avoid the question.
The air above an
you're
object.
more dense than the air. It doesn't matter if the air above you is less dense than the air
But
below.
why does it go down? This air is less dense. In fact, this air is even less dense than this air. Why does it go
Okay,
up?
why would that mean it goes down?
What do you mean, why does that mean? Because the mass of the Earth is the things fall. The reason
You
that things
don't-
fall down.
Dude, helium. Why does helium rise?
Because it's less dense than air.
There you go. It's
So
less dense than the other air.
Gravity
Okay,
pulls the air
Okay.
down more than the helium.
That's
It's the
what
same
you
reason a
think.
beach ball goes up in the air, in the water.
you're just reifying your belief, and this is what's even funnier.
Reify.
Well,
How is it
listen, dude.
reification? I'm not doing anything abstract and turning it.
Yeah, because you have a
concrete.
Dave made the same point I did. Why don't things fall up? Flurfs cannot answer this question, and it's a wonder they keep suggesting things fall due to density, because the buoyant effect does not exist without gravity. I mean, look at this formula for buoyancy. It literally is a gravitational force. These people are saying gravity doesn't exist by saying gravitational forces are the reason things fall down. Sony Pictures can't write a stupider story. Honestly, I've had enough. There's like 30 more minutes of this, and a lot of that is them answering questions from the Quarterings audience, so I think it's safe to stop here. I want to commend Dave for absolutely dominating this guy in a live debate, as I don't think it's a worthy endeavor these days, but it's always great to see intelligence being platformed. And kudos to Jeremy, the guy that I do not like and couldn't disagree more with. I think he did a fine job moderating, even if he did talk a little too much. But I'll likely be putting him in a video sometime soon as well. We'll see.